And now, from our newsroom in Los Angeles, the Crusaders with senior reporters Carla Wohl and Howard Thompson.
Thanks for being with us. In a moment, we launch a summer crusade to protect our children in our own backyards. But first, a Crusader undercover investigation exposes a secret that could turn your vacation adventure into a terrifying nightmare.
Few animals capture our hearts like dolphins. Swimming with these seemingly friendly and docile mammals has become a popular thrill among vacationers from Florida to Hawaii. But before you swim with the dolphins, know this. They're 500 pounds and they're wild animals. We traveled to one of America's favorite vacation spots to reveal a danger of the deep. Drive as far south as you can in the United States and you'll wind up in the Florida Keys, an island chain that entices tourists with its sun, sand, and sea. It's a laid-back, don't worry, be happy kind of place. A place where for as little as $75 you can swim with dolphins. Swimming with dolphins is one of the big attractions down here. But what the signs don't advertise is that the programs are experimental, virtually unregulated, and dangerous. Just ask Boston lawyer Mark Albert. In November of 1992, he filed a report with the government saying he was almost killed by a dolphin named Stormy.
He came roaring at me and with his very bony, hard beak slammed right into my chest, right above my heart.
Albert was rammed twice by the dolphin here at Theater of the Sea. His breastbone was broken. He says the attack was unprovoked. Theater of the Sea claims he tried to grab the dolphin. But Albert isn't the only victim. Kathleen Forty was forced out of the water at Dolphins Plus by a sexually aggressive dolphin. Much like you see in this video, the dolphin was trying to mate with her.
He had latched his penis around my kneecap, and he was shaking me vigorously.
Hey! Both Kathleen Forty and Mark Albert say they weren't adequately warned of the risks of swimming with dolphins. We wanted to hear firsthand what the trainers actually do say, so we recruited experienced diver Tom Gerritsen to pose as a tourist, and we followed him into Dolphins Plus with a home video camera.
So Tom, you ready?
I'm all set.
Tom participated in what's called an uncontrolled swim program, meaning swimmers get in the water with the dolphins and whatever happens, happens. These 500-pound mammals are not being controlled by a trainer. And after spending nearly a decade caged in small pens, their behavior has become less predictable and more dangerous. Former Dolphins Plus employee Carolyn Brooks.
But they became less mellow. They became seemingly more frustrated and less open.
Remember, dolphins are wild animals, wild like jaguars and gorillas and elephants. Think about it. Would you pay $75 to get in this cage and play with this jaguar? In this case, we understand the risks involved. But when it comes to swimming with dolphins, we may not fully understand. And the programs won't necessarily warn you.
Don't let it scare you. They're not going to run into you. We've never had them run into anybody.
Only once during this briefing at Dolphins Plus did the trainer tell swimmers that there is a potential risk of injury. But 3 times we heard her say that the dolphins would not hurt them. And listen to what she advises if a dolphin becomes sexually aggressive.
If you don't have a problem with it, just lay there and float and relax and let them rub on you.
Here in Florida, we call that sodomy.
Russ Rector is the head of the Dolphin Freedom Foundation. He is outraged by the way Dolphins Plus glosses over the risks. And it isn't the only culprit. Dolphins Plus is one of 5 dolphin swim programs in the United States. 3 of them are down here in the Keys, and all of them are operating with experimental permits.
The government was told almost immediately after the experiment began, you've got a problem here, you're going to have a problem.
But today there is virtually no government oversight because responsibility for the program has recently been shifted to the overburdened Department of Agriculture. Dr. Naomi Rose is the marine mammal expert for the Humane Society of the United States.
In essence, nobody's regulating these programs right now. Anybody can have one, and they can run it any way they please.
And they do. Jay Davis is a marine biologist and former employee of Dolphins Plus. He says he was fired for warning people about the potential risks of swimming with dolphins. You were specifically told that if anyone asked you, has anyone ever been hurt here, that you were to say what?
Pretty much told us our program response should be no, not to our knowledge at that point.
Was that true?
No, we did have injuries, and some were, I think, significant. They should have been reported.
In fact, take a look at this. This dolphin, Nikki, repeatedly jumps out of the water, each time nearly landing on a swimmer.
Drink. Nikki!
The danger is very real. A study just released by the National Marine Fisheries Service finds that 61% of the time swimmers are in the water at Dolphins Plus, they are at high risk of being injured, and women and children are in the greatest jeopardy. The report finds that sexual behavior by dolphins often coincides with aggression. We wanted to know why customers aren't warned of that before they pay their $75. But Dolphins Plus owner Lloyd Borges refused our request for an interview, so we confronted him on his way to work.
The fact is, you don't tell people that 61%, that they're in danger 61% of the time. You don't tell them, sir. Don't touch that camera, sir.
Huh? Get it out of my face. You're hurting me. You're hurting me.
I want to talk to you about the danger and the risk that people are faced with when they go in there. I don't want to have an argument with you, sir. I want to talk to you.
But Mr. Borges didn't want to talk to me.
You're lying.
I'm not lying, sir.
You're lying because we knew you were there yesterday.
And then
we saw your little weasel with the camera and the little yellow bag.
Sir, if you knew we were there, then your briefing perhaps should have said 61% of the time you're in the water, you're at high risk. You didn't say that, sir. You said that a dolphin has never swam right into a swimmer. That's not correct, sir. That's a lie.
In fact, swimmers aren't told that if a dolphin becomes aggressive, there's little trainers here can do to rescue them in time. And remember Nikki, the dolphin that repeatedly jumped out of the water, nearly landing on these swimmers? Well, the day we visited Dolphins Plus, Nikki was still in the program, still swimming with humans.
The fact is these dolphins, when they injure these people, it's on purpose. Not because they're malicious or vindictive, but because they're stressed.
They're lucky no one has been killed yet. Just plain lucky.
We didn't think luck should have anything to do with it. Our crusade was to make sure swimmers were fully informed of the risks before they get in the water with a captive dolphin. If the federal government was overburdened and unable to do that, then we would have to convince the state of Florida to step in and regulate the programs. We started making calls, putting the pressure on. Then we went to Tallahassee to see Estes Whitfield, the governor's chief environmental policy coordinator.
These people know that they're on front stage right now because of, I think, your travels and filming. And
Whitfield says because of our investigation, Florida environmental officials have been scrambling and are now meeting with federal officials trying to take over regulation of the Swim with Dolphin programs. They want to require the programs to have a trainer in the water with swimmers at all times.
I think that we'll see some action. And, you know, short of that, then we'll turn up the heat as we feel like we need to.
Perhaps it should be posted as they walk in that, like they have many signs there, but that there has been a study that says that they're at risk 61% of the time. I think people need to see it.
I tend to agree that it needs to be printed.
And Whitfield also agrees that those signs need to be posted now, before a regulation is even enacted.
Something should be done, and I've given interviews to other people, and nothing has happened.
Thank you both very much.
But now, because of our crusade, something is happening. You at least will know what Lloyd Borges wants to hide. You'll know the dangers of swimming with dolphins, and perhaps you'll decide that the thrill isn't worth the risk.
Florida officials are taking action, but they'll need federal funding to regulate the programs. To get it, they'll need you to voice your opinion. We'll have a phone number for you to call at the end of the program. In the meantime, we promise to stay on top of Florida officials so that vacationers are at least aware of the potential dangers.
Thank you, Carla. The Crusaders will return in a moment, so please stay with us.
Later,
we're facing a serial killer.
It kills more than 1,000 children every year.
It's something that you'll never forget.
Our summer crusade to protect our children. But next,
When I walked out of his room, he said, "I love you, Dad."
A son dies because his father doesn't have health insurance, something the government told him he couldn't afford. It got the attention of the White House.
I know that you have a particularly tragic story.
But we did something about it. Who do you think should be responsible for supplying health insurance, you or your government?
Oh, the government. Absolutely, yeah.
Partially me and partially the government. It's be a combination of both.
When we return.
Organization called Chisholm Trail, run by Dr. Lowell Lenhart, put up the money. Together, we presented Jim with a Mutual of Omaha health insurance policy. It may